All right, a lot of balls up in the air for the Prime Minister right at the moment. John Key joins me now by phone. Good morning to you, John.
Morning, Paul.
Let's talk the boat people first. So this boat, 65 migrants on board this boat. Do we know for an absolute fact that it was heading for New Zealand, that this was its ultimate target?
Well, that's the belief of the Indonesian authorities and the Australians. So don't ask me how they know all these things. It must be because they get on board and they can work it all out or whatever in the course it's tracking. But that was what we were advised a couple of weeks back, and the only reason it's essentially not continuing to be heading towards our shores is because I think that for the first instance, a lot of people got sick on the boat, and so they ended up radioing for help.
Andrew Little has said that basically the chance of boats coming here is so negligible as to not even be worth considering. Do you not agree with him?
No, well, Labor have been in denial about this stuff forever. I mean, I was funny enough thinking about all the stupid things they've said on this topic when I was getting briefed every day on the thing. I mean, look, in the end, of course, it's a long way away. It's much further than Australia. It's harder to get to. But in the end, Australia is getting closed down as an option for these people, so it's trickier. This boat was far more seaworthy, and apparently the sailors on board were of quite a high calibre, is what they were saying. So, it's much, much harder. No one's arguing against that, but it's complete naivety to believe that there aren't people out there trying to come to New Zealand. We're just a place they want to come to.
You're going to be talking with the head of Amnesty International a little bit later today. This is one of his concerns. I'm going to talk to him in about half an hour's time on the program. He's here visiting to talk about migrants amongst other things. What is our strategy if one of these boats arrives? Do you have a strategy?
Yeah, we do. So essentially what we did when we got alerted to this boat was we triggered off a whole series, I don't want to sound too bureaucratic about this, but a whole process run by officials, which is called ODESC, and they go through, and so every day we were getting where the boat is, what point does it refuel, all of the various. So I can't, for obvious reasons, go through all of what we do in the various.
But we can't turn the boats around like Australia can. We can't do that as easily because, as we've been saying, we're a lot further away. So we have to let them land, don't we?
It's not so much that we're much further away. It's, I think, as I understand it, the legal settings that they have, and essentially even they have limits to what they can do. But what Australia have done is they said if you go into their territorial waters, so I think it's the 24-mile zone or whatever it is, but if you get into Australian territorial waters, under their law, they say we are not going to process you in Australia and we're going to send you off to Manus and these other islands.
Right.
So that's the difference. You can't just go on board the boat. But what happens is, and this does happen, that they'll put out distress signals. Half the time they may sink the boat. They do all sorts of things.
So they have to be rescued and brought ashore?
Yeah, they have to be rescued, yeah.
Okay, but in New Zealand, we would have to bring them ashore. Is that what we're saying?
That's not absolutely guaranteed.
So we don't really have a strategy, do we?
No, that's not right. Actually, this is the one thing we do have, a whole series of different things. But what I'd say is it's a bit like a decision tree. At a very different point, we have decisions ministers have to make. It's in Australia, they've just made the call. If you get into our waters and we can't do anything about that because we can't board the boat prior to that point, you're off to Manus.
And of course, they had a much bigger problem than we did with thousands arriving weekly. Let's talk about the Māori challenge to your housing policy. So we're talking now about Ngāti Whātua, who say that they have first dibs on those properties as part of their treaty settlement. Are you not going to honour that?
Well, they don't legally, so this is the issue. Yeah, we do honour first right of refusal when it's triggered under the provisions of the law, but under housing, if it's used for housing, it doesn't trigger the offer-back provisions. Now, that's not new. If you go and have a look at, for instance, Hobsonville, which used to be in my electorate... So
are they just wrong? Is that what we're saying? They're just wrong. They don't have first right.
They don't legally. They would do if we weren't using the land for housing, then they're probably right, unless another government department wanted it. But no, legally they're not right.
Okay, so you're not worried about their threatened legal action?
No. Well, you expect people to try and test that, but all I can tell you is there's been other cases around this, and actually the offer-back provisions are clear. Under certain circumstances, you trigger them, and under certain circumstances you don't.
Right, fair enough. No, I understand that. And just finally, there's so much we could talk about, but time, unfortunately, is not on our side. Just finally, Murray McCully, it seems to me that things are getting a little bit hotter for your Minister of Foreign Affairs. Would you agree that they are getting a bit hotter?
No, I think, look, there's no question that, the opposition, was going to try and put a bit of pressure on over this Saudi sheep deal. But the thing with
Murray looks guilty, John. Murray, he doesn't look very confident in his own argument.
No, I don't know if that's right. Most of the time, most people think Murray looks like he slept outside on the porch or a park bench somewhere.
No, that is a fair comment.
I don't think he looks overly guilty. I mean, he's got nothing to be guilty of. I mean, the bottom line with the thing is that, there was the chance that this guy was going to sue us because he believes that he'd been misled. He was an irritant in terms of getting our Gulf States deal done. But thirdly, and most importantly, this is actually an opportunity to promote New Zealand. So to give you one example,
which I accept.
On this farm, abattoirs are going to be built. Those abattoirs are ones we can use to promote what needs to be a whole refurbishment of abattoirs across the Middle East. So there are lots of commercial opportunities for us.
Okay, and I accept that, and this could be money well spent, but just in a one-word answer, did Murray McCully mislead Cabinet?
Definitely not. That's 2 words, I realise, but definitely not.
All right, John, have a good week. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Take care, John Key, Prime Minister John Key.